Today we're going to talk about authenticity on the Cash Confident podcast. So authenticity is a buzzword that has been coming up for years, right? It's something that I see, and when I take classes on marketing, they're always talking about authenticity. When I'm talking about selling, they're talking about selling authentically. When they're talking about connecting authentically. And for the longest time, I was like, okay, but what does that actually mean? What does it actually mean? And how would one actually become more authentic? And so this has taken me down a rabbit hole. And so today I'm going to just explain to you some of the things that I think about authenticity and give you some examples on how to be more authentic in your communication and why money loves authenticity, why it's something that's worth thinking about and worth doing in whatever capacity you can do it. So first, when I think about authenticity, what I recognize as authenticity when I'm talking to people is that the way that they're feeling or thinking is also being expressed on the outside, right? So if somebody's feeling really sad but is chuckling and making fun, there's going to be a little bit of energetic, what I would call dissonance. It's like a little bit of okay, we're feeling really sad on the outside, but we're looking really happy or we're feeling really sad on the inside and we're looking really happy on the outside, right? Or if I'm feeling a little nervous and I'm trying to come across really confident, that's the dissonance that I'm talking about. So the less dissonance that there is, the more truth that people can see about you. So if you're nervous, just saying, or not like acting nervous, not like above and beyond your level of nervousness, but just being seen in your nervousness, right? And authenticity is really vulnerable. It's super vulnerable because we all wear these masks, right? We all wear masks of confidence and competence and everything. We're very much trained by society to care about what other people think. And what's interesting is authenticity isn't a disregard for what other people think. It's just letting other people see more of what's going on, more of the actual truth that's happening for you. And that is something that's such a gift. We crave authenticity. We crave it. When we're watching people's content, even if it's just on Instagram and somebody's always just sharing the highlight reel, it's not that it's inauthentic. It's not that those things didn't happen at those moments are inauthentic, because I would really believe that for lots of people who share those are. It's just not the fullness of authenticity, right? And so when we're thinking about authentic, it's kind of sharing the ups and the downs. It's sharing the wins and the heartbreaks, or it's sharing a hurt feeling or something else. And the reason why this is so powerful in human interaction is because we love it. We love authenticity. We love to see the truth of what's going on for people, right? We love the rawness of real emotions, and we're drawn to it. When you see somebody really authentically expressing themselves, you are drawn to it. You can't help but watch. When you think about musicians, right? Generally, musicians are people who can channel a ton of authenticity between the way that they're feeling in the songs that they're singing. And you hear the emotion in their voice and you see it in their body language as they're singing. And even if you're not necessarily in the situation that they're singing about, right? I love a good breakup song, even though I'm happily married, forever. There's something about that resonates so deeply. It's like your heart feels this tender, squishy bit of the human experience, and my heart also knows about that tender, squishy experience. And there's no masking, there's no armor in between. So it's energetically we're holding hands, right? And so that's authentic. That's the juice about it. And so what gets in the way of authenticity, I think, is Brene Brown does a fair bit of work on this. And when we're unwilling to be vulnerable, that's when we start to wear a lot of armor in the way that we interact with people. And that's one of the things that brings down our authenticity. Like, she talks about it. There's an Audible presentation that she did. It's called The Power of Vulnerability, and it's not a book though. It's a presentation. It was, for me, it was really, really very good. I've listened to it many, many times over the years. And she talks about like perfectionism being the 10-ton shield, right? And so perfectionism is a way that sometimes we'll hide our authenticity, because like underneath all of those, quirks of double checking and it's like we're actually just afraid to be judged, right? And so sometimes just authenticity for me started with myself. Like, I was wearing masks out to the world, but I was also wearing them in my mirror, like at home. Like, I wasn't even able to be all the way vulnerable with myself. If, when I couldn't understand what authenticity was, it was because I was wearing all of my masks all the time. So I was like, I don't even know what we're talking about. Like, what are you even saying? Right? It didn't make sense to me. And so as I started to take off my mask and I started to decondition some of the social conditionings, I could see that I was more able to express the truth of what was going on for me. And that is how I started to be more authentic, right? That's like how it kind of came to be. And the reason that this is worth doing is because it's not telling the truth. I'm going to say telling the truth, but it's like when we're being the truth. Maybe that's a better way to put it. When we're being the truth, when our heart and our words and our face and our body language is all in the same direction, it's like people can resonate with that. They're like, oh my word, me too. Me too. Like, you're going through this thing and you're super exuberant and wonderful. Me too. I know that feeling. Or you're in the depth of a heartbreak and feeling inadequate and whatever else. Like, yeah, me too. And we're just drawn to it. Humans just love it. So that when we are very clear, like a very clear, energetic, emotional signal out to the rest of the world, that people are paying attention, right? Like, it's juicy. And so if you're in business, if you're somebody who's in business, when we're authentic, people feel like they know you. People feel like you're friends with them, because generally we're going to be more authentic with our friends, people we don't feel like we need all these masks with, right? We don't need to be perfect in front of our friends. So when you're out there imperfect, it shows people that like you're a real human, and then they're like, I'm a real human and you're a real human. Cool. Like, you're not like this perfect person who I need to keep on a pedestal, who seems like so much better than me or more together than me. And so like, if you create any flavor of content, even if it's not like for your work, even if it's just sharing or making art or making music, like for your own enjoyment, not necessarily like business related, the more authentic you are in that, the more people will pay attention, because authenticity, like, we just love it, right? And when it's just something that attracts people. So some ways to increase your level of authenticity are to start with really becoming more aware of your emotions. And I'm going to come back to Brene Brown again. She wrote a book called The Atlas of the Heart that's really, really worth the read, because in that book, it's basically, she gives really granular, in-depth explanations of each of the emotions and how these emotions play together. And to me, that was really helpful in being able to identify what I was feeling. Being able to be like, oh, I'm actually feeling really bitter and resentful today. Or wow, I'm really feeling, exuberant and joyful. So getting to know your emotions is one of the ways to start to increase authenticity. And then the next thing that you can start to do is start to break down the social conditions that are set up inside your mind to keep you inauthentic, right? To keep you perfect, or to keep you always looking a certain kind of way, or always showing up a certain kind of way, like some of those masks. And that's deep work. We have to look at, why I put this mask on, what I think it's keeping me safe from. and then evaluate, is it really worth it to have this mask on? And breaking down your social conditions is kind of a long process. It's not something that you're just going to like decide one day and then do it. It's like a little at a time. So, maybe breaking down the idea that, you need to be on all the time or accessible all the time, right? Setting some boundaries, that helps as you become more and more authentic, you become more and more tender. So being able to like set boundaries really helps with that, being able to, protect your own self, and and also one of the things that that's kind of required for having a high level of authenticity is the ability to hold a lot of big feelings, right? It's the ability to have a big emotional range. Because as you take down, this armor and stuff, you just expose yourself to more feelings. Like life is serving them up, but sometimes when we're masked up and armored up, we don't feel all of them. We don't notice them as sharply. So that's a thing that you can do too. But it's worth it. It's worth it to tell at least one person the truth of what's going on within you every single day. Not be tough or not be perfect or anything else, and just start to let people see the truth of you, and just practice being with that vulnerability, because it's so good. Like it's so tender and wonderful on the other side of that, to be able to really be seen, right? And we can't really be seen if we're wearing it. And so when it comes to this doesn't seem probably like it's super financially related, but here's where the money comes in, is that, like, look, if you've bought any of my courses or any of my, my mastermind or watched my content, if you love me, like if you resonate with me because you can see yourself in me, you're going to be more likely to be my client, to be my customer, right? Like if I'm singing on stage and everybody's singing along with their, like, let's just say like I'm singing. Oh, it's such a perfect example of this. There's a video of Louis Capaldi floating around where he's singing that Somebody That You Used to Love song. I used to be somebody that used, right? And so that's a heartbreaking song. And he's got Tourette's. And so he started to have like, I don't know what exactly, he started to have an outbreak of his Tourette's syndrome while he was singing, and he couldn't sing. And like all his fans started to sing with him. Like, so his fans carried the song. And if you watch it, it's emotional. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm tearing up remembering it. Oh, I'm such a weirdo. But it's like, it's such an authentic moment. Like his inadequacies are just out there on stage. And then everybody loves him more for it. It's wild. So those are the kinds of things. And so there's just so much love that's like more freely exchanged when we're telling the truth it's not telling, when we're being the truth. It's not like if you're wearing a mask, you're lying. It's just like the more closely your heart and your mind face words, like are interacted, the juicier life gets, the more love that's exchanged, the easier it is to circulate money. So this is a little ethereal today, but for real, it's worth doing. I'm not maybe doing the best job of explaining it, but maybe I am. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you next week. It was my pleasure and joy to talk with you today. Thank you for listening. If you found value in our conversation, I kindly ask you to share the show with a friend who deserves to unleash her financial power. Your feedback is so valuable to me. So please take a moment to leave a review. Together we can amplify the message and bring more money into the hands of good women. For ongoing guidance and unwavering support on your financial journey, I invite you to join the Cash Confident community. Visit www.cashconfident.com/join to become part of our powerful community of women, where we uplift and inspire one another to reach new heights of financial success.
Remember, you possess the power to shape your financial destiny. And with the Cash Confident podcast and the support of our remarkable community, you are unstoppable. Embrace your financial power, create the life you desire, and let's ignite a movement of cash confident women who are transforming the world $1, one decision at a time.